What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Alex here from Alex CFE, and today we have another video. So I haven't done a market watch in quite a bit, and I love kind of just doing these. I always do them for myself. Obviously, I look around, poke around, always kind of like invest a little on the side, but like this is a great time. This is probably the best time of the year almost to kind of get into it, and there's a couple of reasons for that. So before we get started, I just wanted to give two quick shout outs. First, thank you to Azim for just telling me to do one of these. I know he shouted me out on Chris's thread. Thank you everybody for doing that on Twitter. A couple people mentioned me, so really appreciate it. But he's been mentioning, do a market watch for a bit for the past couple days. This is my 5th attempt now. There's just been various video issues throughout, so hopefully this one sticks. But also Henry over at Final Turn Gaming in Jersey. I met him at BCS White Plains, and super nice guy. Honestly, like, he's really the reason why I did these videos to begin with. He really inspired me. I just loved watching them. They're like great content to put on in the background, just while you're working, things of that nature, and just kind of kept me very occupied throughout COVID and whatnot. So really awesome guy. Moved a card for me. I really appreciate it. Go check him out in Jersey, Final Turn Gaming. Super awesome guy, part of Team Gradelock over there. Shouts out to all those guys. But without further ado, let's hop right into it. If you guys are interested in purchasing any of the cards that you see here today, we do have a TCG player affiliate link down in the description below. Absolutely no cost to you. You can help support the channel. I'll never ask you guys for money or any donations or anything like that, so and no subscription. So that always is a great way to kind of help me out passively, and I appreciate it immensely. So without further ado, let's for real hop in this time. We are going to start off with just obviously Evenfull Onslaught. So I mentioned that this is a great time to buy, and or just a great time to be in the market in general, because there's two different things really going on. Firstly, like, we've gotten two back-to-back sets, two sets released within, I think it's 28 days, 29 calendar days overall. So two sets coming out very quickly, back to back. People are moving things, people are purchasing things. Like, there is just a lot of movement in general, and just like real markets, movement in general is good for you. People are motivated to sell, pick up new things. People are looking to just offload things in general in terms of like big bulk sellers. So there are quite a bit of listings throughout, and I have a lot of different buying opportunities I'm going to show you today, as well as some lessons to kind of go over. But also, it's in the middle of BCS season, so like same kind of deal. People are offloading things because they've already played their BCS, they've already qualified, or whatever, they're just done. They want to maybe move on to something new, so there's a good buying opportunity. Always check Vanguardians, things of that nature. But I think there's a lot of like highs and lows, so we're at a very weird point right now, but it's just a hot market in general, so I think it's very good. But Evenfull Onslaught, getting into this case, it's really not bad. On the top end, things are kind of expensive. Like, obviously the SECs are what they are. I can't really harp on them too much. We'll have to make money. I think the artists, whoever drew these over here, needs to be investigated, but those are not as expensive as one would think. I guess they're not like crazy card. Orpheus Mask, the FFRs for these, just in general, the FFRs aren't absolutely horrible, all things considered, so it is what it is. This Magnolia FFR is really good too. I think that's $35. That's definitely a steal. $35 for a box of this is not bad at all. I actually pulled one of these FFRs. Yeah, on the top end it is what it is, but obviously the meat and potatoes of this set really is the triple rares. And what are the chase cards? Obviously Bastion Accord and Orpheus. So Bastion Accord's been kind of floating around this $20 price range. A couple of listings yesterday went for like 17. We saw when it first came out. It's around that 14 price mark. I think it's going to stick at 20, and if you can get it for around like $17 to $18, if you're interested in playing this, pick it up while you can, because we will be getting the promo in set 13. I think it's the box topper for this, and I think at that point Vanguard has a lot of hive mind. It's just, oh, I see the shiny cardboard, I need it now. People don't pre-purchase things, and people don't like kind of invest early, and I think that's a big lesson to be learned, amongst other things we're going to go over in this video. But get the Bastions now. I think that at $20 it like kind of is what it is. It's just, it's not cheap, it's not great overall, but like I said, just kind of it's what it is. Over here, Cardinal Moore's Orpheus Mask. Orpheus Mask, in my opinion, is one of the best decks in the format. At $15 a pop, it's really not too terrible. I think that's going to be the floor for a while. Ideal 808 setting 53 copies. Maybe it'll trickle down to that $13 market price, but it's slightly above it, and we see people are willing to purchase it. It's going to get results. It's a very good deck overall, so I'm looking forward to that. The FFR for Gravidia is actually super cheap. Holy crap. Yeah, a lot of FFRs are cheap, but the masks, we're going to go over the masks in a little bit. I'm not going to touch on that right now, but Omni Grigio did kind of rise in price. So we saw when it first came out, it's going for a couple dollars, and I'm going to explain why I think it was so cheap once we go over the masks. But we see that playsets are moving for a lot more than that now, constantly being purchased. I mean, yeah, a couple in the past couple days. Market price of $8, kind of going around there, so it's not crazy, but in the beginning it was a lot cheaper. People are moving on this deck. They're realizing, yeah, it's not just kind of like a meme, or it's not, I never thought it was regarded that way, but I think people are realizing just the meta potential in general. It's great to see Rosarium Fairy also kind of drop down, because this was super expensive when it came out. Yeah, $20, $30. People aren't like that into Stoichia decks. I would say, like, there's a lot of Leonorn fans, there's a lot of like Magnolia, things of that nature, but this is for Granfia and Leonorn. It's just generically really good. I think it was overhyped, maybe a little artificially in the beginning, but I think a $7 market price for this definitely is a little bit more. Yeah, I think the floor is going to be that $8 that Ideal 808 is set over there. So definitely good to see it kind of fall down into that price range overall. Sagura rare stuff is good, and we see that this guy is jumping. So this is actually, I think, one of the recommended cards Bushiroad mentioned for Luard. This is a grade 1, does what it does. It's pretty solid overall. I would maybe get a copy 1 or 2. It is searchable in that deck, obviously. It's searchable in a lot of different decks, but I think that just, like, you know, if you are able to get your copy for a little bit under that $7 market price, if you're able to get it around that $5 mark, I think at this point it's just worth it maybe to get 1 or 2 copies, if not an entire playset. But Fire Arena stuff, the other stuff, the triple rares are all kind of cheap from there on out. It really isn't anything too crazy. We see the Sagura support is cheap as always, but overall this case is not like, or this set is not like horrible. Again, too, with the Jeweled Beast, I'm gonna say right now, purchase your playsets of them. Get your stuff while you can, while it is cheap, because you're going to be caught with your pants down when they become, the deck is going to come out that uses this, that just like absolutely uses it, and you're going to be paying the Keter Sanctuary prices for that, like the $7 mark when it does come time. So get your things while it is cheap. That's another big lesson for this video in general. So yeah, not too much else going on with this set, but we're going to talk about the mask, because I think this is actually something important to mention here. The mask reprint, it didn't do too much market price, $17. We saw a dead bump down to around that $10 price range. Overall, I feel like this is both a good and bad thing. Like, if you have the masks, cores become very cheap. If you don't have the masks, this is a huge barrier to entry. A lot of people don't want to pay, you know, $20, $30, or for 3 to 4 copies, you know, $40, whatever, for a mask, just to get into a deck that's like otherwise going to cost like 10 cents. I mean, not 10 cents, $10, maybe a little bit more for like cores in general. So masks kind of hold decks back in terms of people wanting to go and play them, people wanting to invest in them. And if you're like me too, you have multiple decks, like I hate like swapping them between decks. I always like to purchase a bunch, so it's kind of like a very weird situation. I think that there has to be just more general. If this was a box stopper, that would be great. I don't think that the reprint or whatever the supply set coming out will really do too much for the price over here. This actually dropped a bit. This was $25 yesterday, and now it's down to like $20. So you know, this is a special promo one. I can't really complain about that, but I think there is a lesson to be taught for the masks here, and we see that reflected in all of the mask units. So if you don't previously have a mask, like, again, there's that paywall, and that will dissuade you from maybe purchasing some of these cards over here. There's some really cool mask units. They're not always the greatest. Like, Greedon's really good right now. Orphis Mask, obviously. I'm an Agrugio. Zorga is also good. But, like, just having that barrier to entry on top of effect triggers now, on top of the same Regalius pieces, on top of the Elementaria, like, there is, throughout Standard, the same core of what you need, but it's just so expensive. And then, like, picking up these other cards, like the tribal parts of them, or like, you know, the in-theme archetypes, that's like super cheap. But the masks hold back, I feel like, a lot of value for these sets, and that's actually pretty bad as a seller. Like, we need sellers in this game to obviously keep a healthy market. There has to be that balance. You know, sellers can't invest in cases big time if they see cards are selling for 19 cents after like a month after they came out. Like, it's just really tough. I mean, it's been out for like a week and a half, and it's already 19 cents. It's just like kind of crazy overall. So masks are a hit and miss. The stand-up deck sets, I did make a whole video on this. If it is a worth it product to buy, go check that out. All of my pretty much criticisms or kind of explanations still stand. I won't say criticisms, that's not the right word, but I think that overall this is the best one. We're seeing it selling over here for $47. I think a couple sellers I've seen online post it for about $40. This is definitely the best. Like I said, Elementaria comes in here. Also, none of the other deck sets come with that. Polar Axis Dragon is also included in this, and I think this is a 4 of in the deck too. This is a card that's used in the main Orphis build. Everything else kind of gets tossed out aside from the Regis. The triggers are always a good reprint. Obviously no effect triggers in here, because why would they give us a good product? But it is what it is. This is definitely the best value overall. Favrenil, I'm gonna say pass on this altogether. Like, unless you really need some Brainwash Whirlers at that point, just like buy them separately. The Gratis Gradal, it's good to see it kind of bump down. Falcate finally got its kind of reprint. Gungram's over here for a good price. There's some like good staples out of this, don't get me wrong, like I'm not bashing that, but at the same time, like this is necessary for the deck, and it's just the payoff is not worth it. Like, do not invest seriously in this deck. If you want to pick up just the deck set for whatever, sure, go for it. Graham Grease, again, too, it's not that it's an incomplete deck or anything, but I feel like there's just parts of it missing, and there's like a part of the strategy is just overall really not there. And this is a tough one because I really love the aesthetic. I love like the idea of the gameplay, but it's just not a good deck overall. So, and it doesn't come with the Regalius, the Elementaria. So I would, again, kind of pass on that. But going into Clash of Heroes, I think this is another lesson too, just something in general. If you look at this, you're going to see there are tons of value across this set. Just, you have FFRs for $36, $37, whatever it is. Like, there are super cheap SCCs in here. On top of that, like, all of the triple rares in here are at like a super low point right now. Like Blonde Ezel, I think, is the highest one. Yeah, we see that for $415. Also, Listener of Truth, Dindrain, I think these will go up a little bit because they might be played in the Luard deck. They at least recommended it. I'm not sure if it's actually true, but I think this is a really, really great time to go and purchase some of these clan staples. Let's check them out over here. Obviously, like the Thegria and all of the glitter units are really cheap because people don't want to purchase A, either the deck is like pretty bad, or like B, they don't want to purchase some old promos to support it. But there are a bunch of like generics in here. For example, like the one for Dragon Empire we scrolled by earlier, the Fame Blazing Orions over here. For 50 cents, this is a generic card, and it is going to be used at some point in some deck. It's already used in a couple builds that I'm seeing, but like, pick up your copies while they're cheap. Like, there's one for Stoichia, there's one for Dragon Empire, there's one for every single nation. I think at this point, go and pick these up. Like, this is definitely a huge value. I'm trying to find them on the set. Maybe I scrolled by them at this point, but it's like insane to see triple rares be like 8 cents. There's just value all over the set, and they might not be the best cards right now, but I think the lesson that we always kind of come back to in Vanguard is that like it takes one card to break a deck. It is just, always one card away from being, like a meta contender again, or something that's in the conversation, then all the costs go up. So like, do yourself a favor, purchase stuff where they're really cheap, get some of those generics that we are talking about. And I'll show you the inverse of that in just a moment after this set, but I just wanted to go, since it's been a while, I want to go through like all the more recent things. So we are going to be looking at Festival Booster, which is like so crazy. This set is insane. There's really good prices, there's really bad prices. Eureka still hasn't dropped down, still needs a mass reprint. Divine Knight of Deeply Laid Stratagem, Sagias over here, like this is because of Bastion Prime, the new Bastion Accord, like super used. I think just generically it is the best grade 3 generic that we do see for that clan, or for that nation in general. A lot of the FFRs are actually a lot cheaper than I thought. The 4-Orbital Surrogate too, again, when you see stuff come out and it's maybe not viewed as being good immediately on launch and it's cheap, like, do yourself a favor, just pick it up. Like, these were like $7 I remember on launch. Is there, let's see, yeah, these were like cheaper than the market price was showing over here. They were like $7, sub $10. People are using them constantly now, up to $27, market price around there as well. Blue OT, same kind of thing. When it came out, like $7 around there, $8. Boom, like they're $25 triggers now, super used in throughout premium, really used throughout standard. Halbei hasn't dropped. Like, this set is kind of crazy. I think it is a decent time if you really wanted to. You can go and maybe get into Wallista because it did drop in price quite a bit. The order cards are a little bit cheap. The Ballista itself, $3. If you already have that grade 2, the cycler for this nation, like the rest of the support honestly isn't that much. I mean, if that's assuming you already have like the old triple rares as well. So just, I would say pick up some of the generic stuff, like Evergreen Transfer right now, $2.99. There's going to be a time where multiple decks use this. If you don't have your copy, if you're looking to maybe just grab a couple extra, like for that price, like definitely do it. Like, there'll be a time where this is the meta call, and like that, then everything will be so expensive. This over here, Causality Dragon, I noticed too, is almost bought out. One listing for $10, listed median price of $10, market price $5. So it is an actually expensive card at the moment. If you have any copies of that, maybe list it. But I did want to mention, so I told you the grade 2s in the Clash of Heroes were really cheap. The grade 2s out of the Dragon Masquerade, the cyclers, are all across the board really expensive, and there was a point where you can get them for a bargain aside from Spiral Cutie. So this is actually a little bit below its market price. We see it trending downward a little bit. I don't know if that's always going to be the case, but it's going to be locked pretty much at that $20 market price right after this $15 copy was purchased. We see it trending down from like 26, whatever it was. I think that is going to be the case once Minerva hype kind of died down a bit. Sickle Blade of Inquest, same kind of deal, $15. And again, we see that that market price is sticking. There was a time where you can get this a little bit cheaper than that, but this is the real zinger here. This is the generic. This is the one that I'm looking at and I'm being like, okay, I'm glad I picked up like my 2 play sets of it or whatever it is. This card was going for, yeah, $3, $4, $5. All of a sudden, market price $14. We see listings for $22. This is used in multiple different decks for Dark States. It is one of the cards that really make a lot of, not these decks work, but it's definitely the more optimal choice. And again, if there are clan generics and they are cheap, just pick them up. Same thing over here. Love Binding Maiden, Margaret. Super cheap card. This was, I mean, you know, $2, $1, things like that. They did get bought out, and now boom, what are we at? We're at a $7.65 market price. We are looking at that. That is the real floor right there. Like, if you want to place that, you're now in for about $30 on this. So a little more than that actually, but kind of tough. Great Flame, Axe, Ambush, same thing. The generic. Pick this up while it is cheap. Like, get a couple copies, sub $5, because we're gonna see it past that $5 price point for the floor. Market price of $4 right now. I think it's a good time to get those generics. Same deal over here. The Dragon Tree Wretches out of Dragon Tree Masquerade. This ended up being a really good buy long term. I ended up picking up a case for myself a while back, and I'm so glad I did because I have so many of these staples now, and it's just super easy to slot in and purchase like really cheap generic stuff. I mean, clan specific or archetype specific stuff going forward, because I already have all the generics, and that's really the lesson to be learned. Like, this was very cheap when it came out. This, again, I think, let's look at the 6 month. This was even less. Yeah, I remember seeing these for like $1 or $2, things of that nature. All of a sudden, like, as the months go by, they realize that like this is used in, you can use it in Amon Grigio, you can use it in oh god, what was the other one? I forget off the top of my head, but it's used in multiple different decks, and it is tough to not. Is it using Amon Grigio? I forgot exactly which one it is, but it's tough to not have it. All of a sudden, this is $11, $13 market price, listed median price of $15, and people are purchasing it for that much. Same thing with this guy over here. This was a card that was, again, super cheap. All of a sudden, now it's $8 market price. The lowest listed copy is for $15, and this is used in Greedon, which is seeing a lot of results as of late, especially in Europe, but overall, I think it is a very good card, something that should have been picked up. I don't have my copies of this. I definitely screwed up there, but I just wanted to show the same thing pretty much for the Stoichio one over here. Market price of $6, and we see it's going for about $1, $2 over, and that's really the floor. That's where it will be. And again, another card that was cheap, now it's just going on up. Same thing with the Dragon Tree Wretch. This one not as much. It was cheap for a bit. It was really expensive when Zorga was at its peak pretty much, but now we see it slowly trending back upwards. So if you did pick it up for $4 or $5, good for you. If not, try to get it around that price range, because it is becoming an $8 card for sure. Moving right along, I think that this is a great time to kind of get into Gandiva. It's not going to be the meta menace that it was, and it might get a little bit hit on a pan list, but all the support is actually really cheap at this point. This is actually a very affordable deck to kind of get into if you're trying to play standard, maybe try something new. This is no longer a $20 card. We see it just over time trickling downwards, and yeah, people are purchasing it. Playsets are available at that $7 price range. It is still a good deck. I think it's going to retain itself its position as kind of like a very solid deck overall, if not the meta menace into set 12 and 13. Drag Rifter over here. This is Drag Ritter Alphacar. Just again, this is like the only other expensive piece, quote unquote expensive. Everything else for the deck is very cheap. Looking at some old cards over here too, things that didn't actually really move in general. Like, the price point has come down a little bit for Inlet Pulse Dragon, but for a card that sees no meta play at this point, like, it's insane that this is still holding its value. And I think that like once Vanguard cards have like a pretty set price point and they stick, like, this is generically just so good to go into so many different things. And I think that this is like in need of maybe another reprint. If this was a box topper, that'd be like absolutely amazing. Same deal with Brainwash Swirler. They're just things that they've tried to reprint, but the reprints don't get out as much. It's not like Yu-Gi-Oh reprints where they do it in a structure deck and the market gets flooded. That's just not really how it is. Over here too, another odd card, or an older card that is kind of generic, that is good for obviously Welshrow. Welshrow is going to come out in set 11 or set 13 with some extra support, and I think that now at $11, this is a card that was like at one point in Japan it was like $30. Here it was kind of like 20, 25. It came out, it was like a little expensive, but let's see, yeah, it was like, ooh, yeah, it was really crazy when it first came out. But now I think at $11 is the lowest we've ever seen it. Market price of $14. It's a good time to get these. If you don't have your Fry Heights, go pick them up, I think, in my opinion. Apex Surpassing Sword, Basham Prime. This is a card that has stayed expensive just for so long, and it's only gotten more expensive as time has gone on. So we did see it when it popped out. It was around that $20 price range. That's kind of what all the grade 4s were. Stuck to that for quite a bit, but now with Apex coming out, like, not Apex. Oh my god, I keep on saying it. Whatever the new one is, you know what I'm talking about. Bastion Prime. Is it Prime? No, I forget what the new one is called. Anyway, I've said it like 3 times in this video and I already forget. But my brain's going a mile a minute here. This is now a $35 card, market price of $33, and we see that truly is the floor. It's not just like 1 or 2 copies at that, where a new floor is going to be established. I really think it's going to stick around that $30 price range. I just don't think it's worth it to invest it at that price point, but if you are into it, you know, you got to do what you got to do. Gather Upon Me, Wandering Souls almost got bought out. There's only one listing over here for $11.50 plus, like, it's almost a $15 card. If you have copies of this, I could see this actually not coming anywhere close to this. Do not buy it for that price, but there is pretty much a buyout on this card right now, which is insane to me. Farina Esperardia, obviously good in a bunch of different decks in premium right now. Obviously it's used in Nirvana, not that it's really played too much in standard, but this is a card that has just kept on increasing in price over time, and we see there's lowest listings for $40. That is insane to me. And yeah, Trick Moon over here, price hasn't really budged on this. With the 2 reprints that we did get, Pop Sagar's not doing much, and it's just a great example of how, like, once again, once a price is stuck in Vanguard, it kind of stays that way for a while. Unless it has like 50,000 different reprints of it, like a reprint or 2 isn't going to hurt your value. Bushiroad is very like conscious when it comes to that. It's unfortunate for the buyer, but yeah, these guys are still kind of expensive, not really worth it. And then my favorite thing in all of Vanguard, the promos. Once again, they've dug their own hole, just printed promos for old decks that you've already bought support for, and now you have to go either try to farm that locals, which I do encourage, definitely do that, but like if you're somebody who doesn't have a locals, or you just like want to absolutely maximize your deck as soon as possible, like $28 for the Seraph one, old promos like Broken Toys, even with a quote-unquote promo reprint, it's still $40. Like there's still such a promo issue, and I don't think this really goes away. Like Elementaria needs to be more accessible. There's just so many things here. Oh my god, the B Hero, again, this is a good card, but it's not great. The grade 3 for Keter doing the thing, yeah. Now the Decree, the Thassus, Knight of Decree, whatever Thassus, it's dropped a little bit, and I think at this point, like if you really want to play Minerva, it's not the worst thing in the world. Like it's definitely bad, but like we see people are picking it up for around that $16 price point, and you know, I think that really is the floor here. I don't think it's going to go lower than that. It's unfortunate, but if you do want your copies, I think it might be time to pick them up. This really won't get too much better, and it's still a viable deck for this current meta. So yeah, nothing else really too much moving and shaking on the back end here. A couple of newer promos, not really coming to be too expensive, which is good. Let's shift gears over here and get into VN Premium. So just to talk about pretty much the hottest set of the year, Harmonix Messiah. Messiah has stayed at that $70 floor. It's just skyrocketed, boom, and it's always stayed kind of there. Market price of $81 technically is under its market price, and I think this is more just what we're seeing, like people offloading stuff after they've already played their BCS, because you know, a month ago this was at like a very hard floor of 80. Now we see it kind of trending downwards. Not to say this is a good value at this point, but you know, if you've been waiting, maybe consider saving up a little or spending some of your extra income on that, because it is a little bit lower. Oh yeah, let me just poke through the other stuff in the set, because some other stuff is rising as well. So let's get past all the high rarity. It just is what it is with it. I can't really comment too much on the movement of high rarity, but we see some staple cards like Hanali kind of bounce back down. I think a lot of people, like I said, have already played their decks. They're selling it. Things are going to drop a little bit. This is also, I think, was, in my opinion, overestimated. I think that it is a good card. I don't think it's as necessary as a lot of people were talking about, and I think the market price is starting to reflect that. Market price of $26. We see that selling for about 18, 19, 20. So it's not dramatically lower than the market price, but we see copies are available for that. But this was a card that was super, you know, it was like $8 to $10. Now it's all the way up to 18. So these sets just gain value over time. Rampage Shade, now that Night Rose is once again kind of being looked at as one of the best decks in premium. With an asterisk, I'll just asterisk that statement in general. The Rampage Shade is in definitely coming up in price. Boro also, Vanquisher. This was gone from the market for a long time. The G Night Rose. Yeah, a lot of the Night Rose stuff is just generally very expensive. Over there, beyond that, it's really not like a big deal. I think there's good prices throughout this set. I think that this was kind of readily available enough, but at the same time, oh, it's good to see they have Darkface Mutant over here. That wasn't part of the set for a long time, and I had to buy mine elsewhere. But I think that this, yeah, has a good value. Oh yeah, the Susanoo is completely bought out. I saw this yesterday. I couldn't believe it. Still has no listings. today. It's not that it's expensive or anything like that, but there are no listings, so expect the floor to kind of come up with that as well. That might become a lot more expensive, but yeah, there's not too much else going on. This set has just, again, this is like the golden goose. If you have your stuff from this set, like, good for you. It just completely keeps on increasing in value. It is insane to me, over and over. Momo has dropped. This was like at one point like a $50 card. Copies are back up over here, so you can get your SR or your regular version if you want. Geoma Glass, Crystal Luster for decks that aren't like going absolutely crazy. Again, those are just such staple cards that they've always retained it. Marduk being $15 is kind of crazy to me. There's a lot of like generics. Yeah, Bad Bounty has kind of gone up. I know there's multiple printings of that. The Golden Dragon, Brambin Dragon, wow, yeah, that is way above its market price. Just everything, like, you could have gotten these like a year and a half ago or a year ago for like $2. Now just the Zanburst being $8 is, again, nuts. Some decent stuff. Yeah, wow, the Uncanny Dragon, Azbadalk, whatever the hell however the hell you say it, this guy has increased in value as well. So this set is just the golden goose. Like I said, if you have your stuff, good for you. If not, try to find a good deal, but it might not be the time to pull the trigger necessarily. But talking about pulling the trigger, there are tons of movement on the progenitor dragons. Like, honestly, a lot of people are seeing them as a viable out to a couple different things in the meta right now. We see that just in general, all of the progenitor dragons are going up in price, especially the Formido and the Arena over here. They are actually pretty decent. I think if you haven't gotten your Katrinas and you want to, now is a decent time to buy it out. I mean, not buy it out, but invest in it. Also, the progenitor dragon for what was it, is it Megalonica, whatever it is, the green one, I forgot what they're calling it. Market price of $6 over here. It's now that doubled its market price. I did pick up a couple of these copies a couple of days ago, and honestly, like, I think this is now used in an Asha build where you ping yourself a damage to end their turn. It's kind of weird, but I think I saw some success somewhere in Europe, and I really like the build. I'm gonna kind of put it into mine. I'm gonna try it out, but this is something that has now doubled in its market price, which is absolutely crazy to me. Yeah, some other stuff throughout, like, nothing else is like insane, so to speak, in this set. But again, if you have those progenitor dragons, if you get them as, I think they're box toppers, I'm not 100%. Or are they box toppers or the other one? Yeah, just it's a tough market for them right now. Let's head back here to the first page. Sorry, I scrolled through this already. This is going to be the Premium Clan Collection 2022. I think looking back at these other two sets, I know we've been saying it for a while. Get your stuff while it's cheap. Get your stuff while it's cheap. I'm just gonna reiterate that right now. Like, I know you're seeing $9 not being like a great buy for Exterminate Dragon, or a lot of these things might seem on the surface level to be a little more expensive than you'd like. Just remember that, like, these sets, they're only printed once. They don't heavily reprint strides at all. They did it once with that reprint set, which I personally loved, but ever since then they've been very, they really just don't do it. So if you want these cards, buy it now while they are still on the cheaper side, because you can end up in a situation where, like, you're looking at it and you're seeing them kind of quadruple, double, things like that in a year's time in the future. So a lot of good value throughout. There's a lot of generic stuff. All these strides are built for like multiple different decks. Pick them up. If you have any interest in the clan, I would definitely suggest doing so. Now is still a great time to get in on these. So yeah, definitely do that. And then going into something that was considered almost like a failed product. I even called it that, I think, at a certain point. This deck actually, or this set, has like a lot of value now. So the Premium Battle deck set was introduced as a way to kind of get into Premium for I guess players in general. It comes with 2 complete decks for both Pale Moon and for Grand Blue. Night Rose is now seeing a resurgence again in both V and in Premium. So she herself is just well exceeding her market price. Lowest listing $680 over here. Let's see. Yeah, you're really in for like $7-8 on this card here for just like the regular common version. If you're looking at the foil version, this is kind of like a double rare foiling on it. We are now looking $10 market price. We're looking at about $13 almost per copy. So a lot of stuff moving over here. And again, Bad Bounty's out. The Beatrice, I think, is a really good buy at this price. Just random things in here kind of carrying value, and I like to see that. But overall, if you got this playset for if you got this deck set for like $60 when I saw a lot of people trying to offload them, good for you that you made a really wise investment. But misdirection over here, ever since Derek Top in, what was it, Malaysia or somewhere, I forgot exactly where, but these cards were kind of looked at and people started picking them up. This is a really good old common that has not had a reprinting. $15 for a misdirection is kind of crazy. Over here, same deal with the PG. Let's just go into the base rarity version because that's what I like to talk about. $25 per copy. You can get a playset and you're going to be well over $100 there. That is insane to me. Super Dimensional Robert Die Liner. I think that this is a card that can see its floor really start to rise, and we're seeing that, I think, on the market right now. Yeah, if you can get it for about $10, it's a good buy. This is a really old VR, hasn't been reprinted. It does have what do they call it, a VSR, whatever the heck the other rarity was. I forgot off the top of my head. But I think for the base rarity version, market price of $9, we already see it being like $2 over it, and I think it's more going to settle at that $13 to $15 price range, just because it is a dark horse and kind of a solitaire deck in premium. Also, Chaos Breaker has been seeing a ton of results. I just want to generally go over just random things here, like Photon being $32, well above its market price. Photon again here above its market price. Just random things for Chaos Breaker are so expensive. It is a really good deck. It's a counter to a lot of things. I feel like in the right hands, it kind of gatekeeps a certain level of player, so to speak. At a high-end level, you can play around a lot of things, but again, it's just like super difficult. But my point of showing you all these things is, if you don't already have the deck, I don't think it's a great time to buy. It's just super overinflated at the moment. Very expensive. I would say kind of, if you're really into it, sure, go for it. Like, I'm never going to tell you what to not buy, but me personally, if it's something on like the back end that you've been interested in, sure, there's parts of it that have been reprinted, but you can honestly put together a really good like Budget Messiah premium list and do a lot of work with that. So I would probably invest my money that way. A card that has randomly always stayed around the $25 price range, but we're now seeing it for multiple different types of printings, like around that $15 price range. I think this is the best value. The base version I saw was around $15 also, but this is the Koshian version. This is, something that was always $30, $25. It's down to $15, well below its market price right here. So if you're just somebody who hasn't invested in this and it's always been in the back of your mind, now is a great time to pick this up. I really like the foiling on the Koshian one. There are different versions. Let's see. Yeah, the base one is 15 over here. I think the God, let's just look it up. Dragonic Overlord, and there is one other. I forgot the name of the rarity. SVR, that's what it is. That's like my favorite rarity too. $22. So yeah, good time to maybe get into those. Also, just here, the V promos. Let's keep it on best match to see what people are actually buying. Let's do it here. So I think that these are probably the best example of promos. Like, these are things that are handed out in bulk to stores, and they're just like participation entry promo kind of things. It's so easy to get these compared to some of the D series ones, and I think that that's the way promos should be handled. In being completely honest, like, just give stacks of them because people need them. Like, make old decks kind of relevant again without having to include them in a mainline set. Everything is fairly cheap. Like, for the best one right now, the most common one, or the newest one, so to speak, for it to be $199, I mean, it's not the end of the world. Like, $8 for your playset, that's fine. And that pretty much wraps up our market watch today. Let me know if you think I missed anything. And again, if you are interested in purchasing anything you see here today, we do have a TCG Player affiliate link down in the description below. Absolutely no cost to you. Like I said, you could help support the channel. Thank you in advance. I love doing these, and shouts out to all you guys who shouted me out. So thank you. And this is Alex from Alex CFE signing out.